Hey guys, it's LEGO Boys E3. This is my Megaminx Barrel Mod. So this is a mod that I have had tons of requests over the years for me to do, and in fact I actually started making it a long time ago, over a year ago now. So it is now finally finished, and I think the product is pretty self-explanatory about what it is. It's just a Megaminx, a dodecahedron, turned into a barrel shape. And so of course we have the two opposite sides like this, which kind of look like a Megaminx, and then we have these centers right here, 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 and along this side, all 10 of them. We have all the edges that go in between. Some of the edges are really big, like these ones. Some of the edges are really small. And some of these corners are just super duper tiny, and some of them are just huge. And so for that reason, the big difference in size between the pieces down here and the pieces up here, you can tell that this puzzle was very hard to make. If you just look at a Megaminx, it's kind of like a ball shape. And so in order to make it into a barrel, you can kind of shrink down the middle of it a little bit, but you also have to extend out the top of it. So this top layer right here, the normal face is only about this big, so you have to extend everything out, which just creates a whole lot of extra work for modding. So yeah, all of the pieces on the top layer, as well as all the pieces on this layer touching the top layer, have all had to be extended to fit this barrel shape. And so as you can see, when we start turning it, it creates this really crazy piece sticking out effect. I did try and minimize that effect by cutting down the puzzle as much as I possibly could, which is why these pieces are just so tiny. Like that corner piece looks like it's barely holding on. If you look up other pictures of a Megaminx barrel, normally the corners in here are a lot bigger than the ones that I have, so they extended everything out a whole lot further. But personally, I just made it really small, pretty much as small as possible. Anyway, if we go ahead and turn this puzzle a little bit, you can see just how crazy it starts to look, all this crazy shape shifting. And it makes it pretty apparent where all the centers are. Apart from the extending, I went through the process of modding this puzzle exactly how I would do it with any other barrel puzzle, so go ahead and check out any of my tutorials on how to do any other barrel puzzle if you want to see how I made this. As for the stickers, because that's an interesting thing that you might have noticed, there are not 12 stickers on this puzzle like there would be on a normal Megaminx, because that means it would solve pretty much exactly the same way as a normal Megaminx does, and I wanted it to be a little bit different. We have the opposite white and yellow colors just like I normally do on all of my barrels, and we have the normal colors going around the Megaminx, but that means that we actually have 7 colors on this cube, so we added a purple to my color scheme. Anyway, I have solved this puzzle before, and it's not any more difficult than I expected it to be. If you have ever solved a Hexaminx, you know exactly what it's like to solve this puzzle. All the same things kind of apply with like the center pieces that need to be oriented in the correct way. And I think I'm just going to scramble this up on video right now. Also, just like on the Hexaminx, these kind of edge pieces are interesting. These little ones like this one and the matching blue one over here. Like these two right here, because they actually cannot be flipped around. They look exactly the same, but they're actually rotated slightly differently, like they're kind of at opposite mirrored angles. So you can't swap them with each other, but you actually can flip around one of them just in its place because it's an edge piece. It has 2 possible orientations. So you can kind of flip that around and it'll create a parity later on in the cube. So you have to correct for that if you ever get it. And also half of these little tiny corner pieces, which really were a pain to sticker, I had to super glue them on, and they still don't look very good. Half of them only have 1 color on them. And it's very hard to tell the orientation of the piece, like it could be rotated, but it actually is slightly angled to one specific direction, so you have to make sure and line that up properly. You kind of have to just put it in, check, and then take it out if it was wrong. Anyway, I'm just finishing up solving this puzzle here, doing the last couple of steps, and as you can see, when we're doing turns like this with these big giant pieces sticking out amongst all these little smaller pieces, the turning of it is quite awkward, to be honest. Like, it doesn't really stay into place very well. These pieces just kind of rattle around a whole lot because this puzzle was never meant to be made into this shape, and these little tiny pieces just don't support these big ones. So the interesting thing is that this puzzle is actually pretty stiff, like just turning these inner layers especially. The pieces just don't like to move around a whole lot. It kind of feels like it's just too tight. But if I were to loosen the puzzle anymore, then these outer pieces would just kind of rattle around so much that I just wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, anyway, it's kind of awkward with the tensions on this puzzle, but I still do like the end result of it. It looks very good and all the pieces are very nicely made. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video about this mod that I know I've been promising for a very long time, but never have made any videos on. But anyway, it is now finished and here is the final result. I will see you guys next time. Bye!